Yeah.
Welcome to the Rhinebeck Scoop. I'm your host, Jennifer C. As you guys know, this show is produced by me, Matty Rosenberg, and Jennifer Hammoud at Radio Free Rhinecliff. You guys were on video. Isn't that exciting? Get excited.
It's very exciting. I'm going to be switching the video as we do this.
Okay, awesome. Now, if this episode makes the cut, then it will be on Radio Free Rhinecliff's YouTube channel. So you can watch all of us. We're all super beautiful and super interesting. So I hope you tune in there as well. And of course, I'm going to put some reels on Instagram. Before we get to Boujee Banter, on a serious note, I love Los Angeles. I used to be out there sometimes up to 3 times a month for my job. LA, we are wishing you safety. RBK loves you. We have never done this before in the 30 episode history of the Rhinebeck Scoop, what I'm about to do. I'm starting with my sour of the moment. My sour of the moment is because I want to put more of this on Instagram and YouTube. I can't swear as much as I want to. You guys know I love my F-bombs. You guys know I love my super sexual humor, but I have to dial it down just a little bit because these algorithms don't like that. So this is going to be a really hard test for me. So let's see if I pass the test.
All right, go for it.
Okay. Jen's like, she's never going to survive this. Okay, so let's move into Boujee Banter. And that is, first of all, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. You guys, tell me about your New Year's. Anything interesting? Anything exciting? Any resolutions?
Jen?
I went to Mexico with some women and we had a wonderful time. My New Year's resolution is to drink less. So you guys will be running into Sober Jen 3 to 4 times a week.
Is Sober Jen cool?
Sober Jen is a little more anxious and mellow, but it's good for my cholesterol and I guess my liver and cancer and all those other things. So not terribly exciting. Yeah, so I'm hoping to travel more, and that's my good resolution.
I like that. So when Sober Jen is not sober, what is her drink of choice?
I have one drink and one drink only.
Can I guess?
Sure.
Martini?
Of course, mi amor.
Was I right?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Do you like it extra dirty?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
I like it dry. I like it like with a whisper of vermouth.
Wow.
Yes.
Do you say to the bartender a whisper of vermouth?
I'm not that bougie.
Matty?
What was your question?
Matty, he's just tuned out.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, yes.
And how's your New Year going so far?
New Year was pretty good. We went to a New Year's Eve party, met some interesting people, a cryptographer, someone who may be doing a podcast for us in the future.
Nice.
And it was fun. And other than that, you did miss my holiday party I invited you to.
I know. I had a dinner in the Catskills and I was so bummed I couldn't cancel it. But how was the holiday party? Did you miss me? Did you guys talk about me the whole time?
Actually, that's all we talked about.
Pretty much. That was it, I think. Except that Jen, that was it. Yeah.
Except for Jen. Sober Jen made an appearance all through December.
Yeah, she did not drink at the party.
I've been on great behavior.
I made 50 cocktails at least, and Jen had none of them.
None.
Wow, that's really impressive. How do you feel not drinking?
Well, I am interspersing it with alcohol.
Oh, okay, never mind.
But I feel the same. I mean, it's completely for health reasons.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, all right. Well, it sounds like you guys are.
Wait, you didn't want to talk about your Captain Crunch chicken?
Oh, what's that?
Oh yeah, well I made a lot of dishes, and one of them is Captain Crunch chicken nuggets, which fried in peanut oil, by the way.
Oh, that sounds good. I could have eaten that.
One of the reasons I chose peanut oil, but then you didn't show up. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. But why didn't you bring me some?
You mean like 3 weeks later? Or
I mean, like to my house. You could have just dropped it off in my mailbox.
No.
You could have just biked there.
I could have mailed them to you, maybe. No. They came out
Captain
very
Crunch
good.
chicken doesn't keep.
It doesn't keep.
That's a good point.
It's immediately.
Well,
fried.
Captain Crunch is full of chemicals.
I know,
So
believe me.
obviously, well,
I
actually,
know,
that
I
would
know.
keep. That would last the apocalypse.
Well, the chicken
so.
wouldn't. Though.
Okay, I do get that. But that does sound good. I'm going to go into this new year enthusiastic about the crap you ate. I'm not going to comment on it. I'm not going to judge.
Nothing
it's
else
a whole new
that
year.
I made had chemicals in it.
Okay. Well, that sounds good. I'm sorry I missed it. And my new year has been going just fine, very quiet. I had said to my followers on Instagram that I tried again for the millionth time to give up sugar, could not do it. And I'm done with that shit. Like, we are not trying that ever again in my life. I was miserable. I was substituting with things that you shouldn't substitute with. And
What would that be?
Yeah, so curious. You can't just drop
Yeah,
that and be like,
exactly.
moving along,
what-
nothing to see here.
I substituted with corn and oatmeal, which don't do well with my system.
Wait. You just like you're swapping out like brown sugar. Like, is this in a recipe? You're like, oh, it calls for
doesn't
2
cook.
tablespoons of sugar.
She doesn't
that's
cook.
Yeah, like, come on, Matt.
But,
you know me.
okay, wait. So then a cup of tea, you're going to put corn in instead of sugar? I mean, I don't put sugar in my tea, but just hypothetically. What does that mean?
Okay, first of all, I don't drink tea.
Coffee?
I'm not that lame.
Coffee?
Second of all, I was having these chips. So I like these chips, these potato chips with avocado oil, and that brand also makes tortilla chips made with avocado oil. So I was eating them, and that was not going down very well. And then oatmeal was not going down very well because I normally don't eat grains. So I had a bad reaction to
I
all
lost
that.
where the sugar came out of this for.
Okay, so anyway, so I wanted to stop eating sugar, so I started eating other shit, and then it all backfired because it wasn't good for my
Okay,
system.
okay.
So I'm better off just having some chocolate.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I think
and I'm much
that's wise.
happier, and I'm a much better person.
Chocolate always makes people happy.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm less of a biatch. That's what I like to tell people.
Okay.
So I've reached this 5-year milestone that I realized, actually, I reached it in October of last year, my husband and I, and we both looked at each other and we said, wow, and this is something that I want to mention on the show. And that is, he and I both separately have never lived in a place longer than 4.5 years as adults. We've always moved around separately. We've only been married for how long have I been married? 6-7 years. But we moved to Rhinebeck 5 years ago, last October, 2024. And we both realized that. And we were like, wow, this is the longest place we've lived. We're so happy here. It feels like home. We just started to look into rebuilding our home and all of that. So yeah, so I can say, I've lived in a million other places, 3 other countries, the whole deal. And I really feel that the Hudson Valley is my home. And I'm so grateful to be here.
Congratulations.
Yes.
We're so happy to have you.
Wow.
Yes. And Craig is so happy to be here too. So yeah.
Amazing.
I thought that was kind of a cool milestone. Oh, I have a major announcement. This one gives me the tingles. This one makes me horny.
We can't wait.
Okay, I am I am so proud of one of our Rhinebeck restaurants. Someone in this fucking town finally listened to me. At Gigi Trattoria, Chef Laura announced this week. Did you guys hear about this?
I did.
As a chef and registered dietitian, I've always embraced our Mediterranean-inspired menus, focusing on the freshest, highest quality ingredients. In 2025, I'm taking it a step further by eliminating all seed oils from our cooking and dressings. Healthy fats are essential for nutritious food, and I'm excited to continue sharing this. So I have to say, Gigi, you stepped it up. I'm really excited for you. I am going to patronize you a lot. I think this is amazing. I think this is a trend. I can't say enough about this. I think honestly, I don't know how you've gone about this in the past with other hosts, but I would really like to get some sponsors this year. Mm-hmm. I understand I have to get my download numbers probably up a little more, but once I do, I would like to go after sponsors, and I think Gigi's would be a great sponsor.
Well, Laura Pensiero is a wonderful woman. She's
Okay, you know her.
I do. She's
Okay.
a fantastic businesswoman, and there's a we're not. I mean, I guess we're being taped, but there's a women's networking.
That's what they're saying.
Meeting like in February sometime, and I would happily introduce you.
Okay, cool. Well, maybe she could come on the show and talk about that.
For sure.
But that would be cool. But yeah, so I'm just really happy that happened because I thought we were years away from this. And the fact that we have a restaurant doing this, taking away the industrial seed oils, let's all clap for that.
Yay.
Maddie, just fucking clap. There you go. I'm doing terrible
and
with
you
the
can go
swear.
out in the evening.
Huh?
You can go out in the evening to Gigi's now.
I can. Oh my God, exciting. I will be out there. Actually, I won't. I'll do lunch. Okay, so Weekend Warriors. Now is the time to visit RBK. It's quiet. You can find parking. Highly recommend lunch and a little visit to our art galleries, having a little art gallery tour. And now I recommend Gigi. A couple of shout outs to Betsy Giacaruso, which I went in the gallery finally. I haven't been in, unfortunately, but now I have a beautiful watercolor gallery. I was very impressed. And Art Gallery 71, which does both realist and abstract. And I have to say the prices are decent. I know in Rhinebeck, like a lot of people, not me, can drop 20,000 on a painting, no problem. But I was seeing prices from, 400 and up. I was seeing prices in Art Gallery 71 from $75 and up for the little paintings. And I think that's awesome. I think it's good to have that variety. Everyone should be able to enjoy art. So I'm just going to say, Weekend Warriors, think about coming up here, spending an afternoon, patronizing our shops. All right, now the big content that I'm excited to talk about. Now, this came out in the Daily Catch probably about a couple weeks ago, and I understand with the news cycle that this is probably a little bit behind, but it was very important for me to talk about because I'm so passionate about this subject. And the subject is tipping on tablets. It's a great article written by Michael Frank. That's the first article. The second article with the survey results was written by Emily Sacker, who has been on this show, which was awesome. So I just want to define tipping on tablets for everyone, just in case you don't know. Basically means you go into Buns, you go into Bread Alone, you pay with a card, you get your bagel and your coffee, and you pay, and then they flip the screen on the tablet so you can tip. So they give you percentages of like 20, 25, or you can actually decline the tip. So that's what I mean by tipping on tablets, and it's been a hot topic for this town. So Matty and Jen, whoever wants to start first, tell me what you think about it.
Jen?
I think you're passionate about this. I'll fill in the pieces.
This is a big topic, actually, a much bigger topic than I think was addressed in the article, although I think that Michael did a very good job with the article. The bigger picture for me is let's start with a few things real quickly. Obviously, before there were screens to tip on, you always had the option to putting cash into a bottle or wherever, or giving it to the waiter or whatever. Clearly, most people do not pay with cash in majority of transactions in this environment. So given that, you don't really have a choice but to put tipping as an option on the screen. So how do you go about that? It could be done perhaps in a way that is less obtrusive to some people, but nonetheless, if you're going to give any ability to tip, it has to be on the screen. So it's going to be put in front of you, and you sort of have to either get embarrassed that you don't tip for some people, or just live with the fact that you're not going to tip based on the type of service that you're getting, whether it was enough service to demand a tip in your own eyes. The bigger picture for me is that minimum wage in this country has not kept up with the cost of living. And so in 20 states, minimum wage is literally $7.25, which is obviously not a living
Deplorable.
wage. Yes, 30 states do have their own minimum wage. New York State, since we're going to talk about here, our minimum wage for non-tipped employees has gone up to, I think, $16.50 per hour starting. Well, I'm sorry. The minimum wage in New York State is different downstate and upstate. But upstate, the minimum wage is around $15.50 per hour as of 2025. With tips, if you're a tipped person, it starts at $10.35, and the tips have to meet $15.50. Now, MIT has a great website called livingwage.mit.edu. You can go to this website, punch in any county in the country, and see what the living wage is. The living wage is based on all sorts of numbers. What is the cost of housing in that area? What is the cost of healthcare? What is the cost of gasoline? What is the cost of everything? The actual living wage for Dutchess County, according to MIT, is $24.72 per hour. So what we're stuck with is, as far as I'm concerned, I don't mind the screen because I feel like if I'm giving that tip, I'm helping where I know that the employer can't necessarily pay the living wage for that employee. So I feel compelled to sometimes help with that situation, whether you're paying at a place where you know a student is working there, or if it's an older person, it's even worse because they may have a child, or they may have another significant other who's not working at that time. And then if you look at the MIT charts, you'll see that the living wage for, with a child, it starts to go up to like 33 something dollars per hour. And they're just not getting paid that much. So I have no problem helping them achieve a living wage is how I see it. And people have to get over the embarrassment if they don't. I don't always tip, for sure. Someone hands me something and it's on the screen, I'm like, no tip. Mm-hmm. Or I say another amount because you're always forced to like 15, 20, 25%. I'm not going to give 25% because someone handed me a bagel. But I might put $1 on. So that's my big or little rant.
That was very diplomatic. And I like how you explained everything. I'm about to take it to a level that it absolutely doesn't need to go because this shit pisses me off so badly.
Why am I not surprised?
Yeah. So let's talk about the survey results. You guys, I just said, I feel like this is a home for me, Rhinebeck. And I don't even identify with my hometown. My dad sold his house I think it was actually last year. And my brother and I didn't even care. We have no ties to our hometown. Everyone leaves there, whatever. But I feel like almost Rhinebeck is my hometown. So I feel very, I love it, right? And I have to say I'm very disappointed in these results. And I'm very disappointed in some of the people who did the survey. At sit-down restaurants, 99.5% said they tip. For counters where a meaningful service is offered, 62.5% tip. For takeout, 47% tip. And for counters where no service is offered, 15.6% tip. This is deplorable. I am really not happy because why aren't we being more generous? I don't understand. This is a zip code where people make a lot of money. And I don't understand why you can't reach in a little more and give $2. Why you can't reach in a little more. Do you like having real humans service you instead of robots? Okay, that sounded bad. If so, tablet tipping is a mandatory part of restaurant and food specialty stores and bakeries. Hello, does anyone remember COVID? You guys, COVID. We're all sitting here going, I'm devastated because this restaurant closed and Liberty House closed and business closed and all these things closed. Tipping allows these establishments to stay open and thrive. Why is this hard for everyone to understand? It doesn't always fall on the owner. The owner doesn't have the capacity for it most of the time. So I understand a lot of these people are writing in and saying, well, raise the wage. I agree with that. And then you don't have to rely on tips. But I'm like, you know what? Why not just be generous? Most of this zip code, I'm speaking to you, most of this zip code, you're making like $50 million. You have, you're multimillionaires, you're billionaires, and you can't sit there at bread alone or buns or all that Java or anything and give a $2 tip. You can't give whatever that comes to, $500 out of your pocket a year. And you know what really upsets me too is when these rich people are always like, you know what? I don't tip because I need to keep my money and that's how I'm rich. No, that's not how you're rich. You're rich because you're a greedy fucker. That's how you're rich. So I'm sorry, but I understand that if you're sitting here and you have 3 kids and money's tight and you just can't tip all the time, I appreciate that. I understand that. But when you just have this crazy generational wealth and you can't take $5 out of your pocket for an establishment that you go to 3 times a week, explain that to me. Jen's looking at me like I'm crazy, but seriously, explain that to me.
Well, I sometimes work at an establishment, the Epicurean, and as a clerk. So I know who tips and I know who doesn't tip, and it's not always the people who tip tend, in my opinion, tend to be the people. Maybe this is the point that you're getting to. They tend to be the people who don't have a gazillion dollars, and I think I'm not so sure.
The people who do not tip.
The people who do tip tend to be what you're saying.
Yeah, more middle class.
More middle class, but I don't think it's necessarily the generational wealth thing. I think it's that perhaps people never worked in the service industry. And,
right there.
And really
Amen.
Don't know what it means. Like,
Exactly.
Exactly.
And you know, men tip way, way, way more than women. But now that the Epicurean has a tablet, I find it much more. So many more women tip now than before because, like, maybe women didn't carry as much. I mean, this is just broad, generalization, but more people tip in general because you're paying with Apple Pay anyway, right? But I'm not so sure it's just that people are so tight with their money when they have it. I just don't know if it enters into their ethos that that's something to do. I'm serious.
I mean, I think I
agree.
I agree with Jen. I think people, I mean, obviously there are some people who are generous tippers, and that's great. I think what's strange to me is from the article that people take such offense to it being put in front of them. That's the part I was trying to get at. It's like, if you don't want to tip because someone handed you a bagel or whatever, and you don't feel like you need to do it, it's also part of the problem. And they talk about this in the article, is that the companies that are providing these tablets make money off of those tips. So they're not going to give, like, if it's a small transaction, maybe having an option for $1 or $2 instead of 15%, 20%, 25%, like, sometimes the percentages make you, I think people would just tip up a little easier, but it might not make as much money for the vendor. There's a lot of things there, but I'm not offended by being asked for a tip, especially because I don't see the alternative. Like, the alternative is to turn off tipping altogether, which is saying fuck you to the person who's working there because they're not going to make enough money to stay at that employment. And getting to your point about, what the employer can pay, I agree that it's not up to the employer. But the reason it's not up to the employer is because, and this is something Scott Galloway, who's a business professor at NYU, has said many times on his podcast, what we need is a universal federal minimum wage that is a living wage. And the reason for this is, as much as I dislike Walmart, I agree that they can't suddenly pay much more than Target pays. But if they're all required to pay a certain amount that's a living wage, they're all in a competitive spot where, Walmart can't say, I'm going to pay $26 an hour and Target pays $18. That's not fair to Walmart. I mean, I hate to defend Walmart, but the point I'm making is, if you have a universal federal minimum wage, which would be different in different regions, clearly people in Manhattan need more money than someone in St. Louis necessarily. But the point is that if you don't have a level playing field, you can't expect the business owner to make up that difference because they're no longer going to be competitive with other businesses.
Okay, I agree with both of you, and I love how logical you are, but I still have so much fucking venting to do.
Sorry.
Like, I'm not even...
But I think I agree with most of what you're saying.
No, I think we all agree.
Which is shocking.
I have to say that I'm the holdout because it annoyed the fuck out of me to have that tablet hoisted upon me initially post-COVID.
I fucking love it.
I didn't love it initially, and I fill in as a clerk from time to time. So, like... and that's coming from me. What I have come to accept is that it makes it much easier if it's your choice. And if you just say to yourself, you know what, I decline, it's up to you. But at least there's a choice. Like, I mean, I can't tell you how many people say, oh, I don't have any cash. Oh, and I say, oh, you can get, don't worry about it. I'm not expecting a tip anyway, but that shouldn't be your rate limiting factor. And that's when the tablet, at least for me, was like, okay, because there's a custom tip or, whatever.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good point. Listen, you guys, those who work in customer service, like Jen was saying, they have a tough job. And honestly, they'd be better off on OnlyFans, I'm not even kidding, and Patreon. They would. Like, than doing this and making like $10 an hour plus tip or whatever you're making. In my humble opinion, these customer service workers are heroes for showing up to work. They do God's work, dealing with all the customer bullshit, and then doing it with a smile. This town, I'm talking the camera, this town is supposed to support lower income people. You think refusing to tip is supporting lower income workers, such as college students or teenagers working their first job. I don't think it is. And every article when I moved here and I read in the past 5 years is like, oh, we want to move in more lower income people and we want to support them and we want to do this. But then you refuse to tip on a tablet when your net worth is $50 million. That's a problem for me. I'm sorry, but that's the problem. I'll give you an example of where you don't tip. Omega, the cafe at the Omega Institute, I'm there all the time when it's open. They do not allow tipping, and it pisses me off because these volunteers are so amazing. They're the nicest people ever, and I would like to give them a little money, and they don't offer it, and that really, really bothers me. What really pisses me off, too, is that, like, I used to work on private jets, so I've worked for the billionaires, okay? I've worked for the multimillionaires, and some of these people, not all of you, but some of them are the cheapest fuckers you will ever come across and stingy. And I just don't think that's right when RBK is supposed to be such a close town supporting each other. And also we're supposed to be still somewhat recovering from COVID. So I'm sorry. I think you need to be more generous. I received a couple comments on Instagram about this subject. Number one, I often decline and instead throw $1 or $2 in the tip jar if the cashier is exceptionally kind. As someone with food allergies, it's actually not me, frequently charge full price even when I'm only eating half or 3/4 of the ingredients listed for the meal. Add the ridiculous extra cost of a gluten-free bun or pasta, and I figure we are even. Can you tell I'm a little bit bitter? I actually know this person. This person's a great person, has a family. And I do understand from the family perspective where she's coming from, but I don't agree. I don't like that she declines and just throws in a couple dollars. I just don't agree with that. I'm sorry. I think we should support people. Someone else wrote in, said the tablet flip is highly suggestive, but you can just decline. I think that's good. And then here's 2 comments from the Daily Catch. Now, this one really fucking pissed me off, okay? So Jean Clark, since she decides to, like, put her name around all these comments, because I looked at all the comments, and not only on tipping on tablets, but the whole letters to the editor page, and she had some not so lovely things to say about other things. She said, here's a tip. Simply don't patronize these places. Is this the community that we're supposed to be fostering, that you would say that? And I guarantee someone like that is the first person, if God forbid, like Bread Alone went out of business or we had another pandemic and her favorite restaurant went out of business, she would be Eugene, you would be the one that would be protesting in the streets. But then you refuse to tip and you refuse to support them. I don't get this. Like, am I wrong in my logic here?
I just don't think that people think about it the way that you do because I think it's because they haven't worked in the service industry.
I think so. I agree.
If you worked as a camp counselor, if you ever served at any point in your life, if you like ever had a low wage job, then you understand if somebody gives you even $5, you're like, wow, this. First of all, you're like, what did I do to this? Is like, it makes me feel amazing. But honestly, like, it goes so far.
It does. It goes. I think you're right. People don't realize it. The Rhine seller wrote in, and I like what they had to say. They said, you have no problem tipping your Uber driver, Uber Eats doorman, you shouldn't have a problem tipping your hospitality worker, even if they are just pouring you a cup of coffee. I couldn't have said it better. Amen. I just have to end this and say, listen, you guys, I had no money, and I know probably everyone here has a story, Matty and Jen, how we lived in shitty apartments when we were in our 20s. We had no money. We were eating ramen. I'm sure everyone here can understand that, right? Not everyone listening. I had no money. I was in the Peace Corps. I was a teacher in the Peace Corps. These kids would send around notes in class thinking that I couldn't read them, but I could read the language, and I would intercept them, and they were asking for food because they were so hungry. So I have seen it in my face. I've seen it. I've lived in a community where people are starving and hungry, and it's not fun to live in. I have worked in the restaurant industry. I hate it. Sorry. I don't have anything nice to say about it because of my own experience. It is not an easy job. I've done a customer service center when I was 20. I've done it all. And these are really hard jobs. And I just don't understand why certain people are not grateful. You need to be grateful for the life you are living, because if you're here and you're in Rhinebeck and you can easily afford it, you are living a really beautiful, lucky life. I'm telling you that because I have seen the opposite. So why not spread the love and be generous, RBK, and be generous to our workers, because the universe will reward you. I promise. The end.
Yeah, I think one other thing which I think is lost here about people tipping is they often blame problems on the wrong parties. So I know plenty of waiters and waitresses, especially, who have told me stories of the kitchen messes up. It happens. The food doesn't come out on time. The food is the wrong food. It's over. It's well done. It's rare, whatever. This is not your server's issue. Mm-hmm. They did not make the burger well done when you ordered it rare. I mean, I've had that happen to me. I would never blame the waiter for this. Mm-hmm. And yet they tell me stories where they get 0 tip. Mm-hmm. And that infuriates me more than anything. Mm-hmm. These people are working their ass off, and because of problems that are systemic in any restaurant, doesn't matter, there's going to be problems with your order. To blame the waiter or waitress is incomprehensibly awful.
I agree. And I always tip minimum 20. When I'm sitting at a table, I tip 20%. Mm-hmm. Like I always tip well. So anyway, thank you guys for indulging me. Whew, I feel good. I let that out. I finally let that out. Jen's giving me a look like, uh-oh. Why did we do this show? Okay, we have a new game because for the new year, I wanted to find something that replaced Mary F.K. And, I just wanted to make things a little classier for the new year. And I wanted to make things a little more sophisticated, because you guys have such a sophisticated brand. You really do. It's very NPR-like. So I wanted to fall in line with that. You know what I mean? And not be so downgraded, right? So instead, we have a new game, and it's called Are They Good in Bed? Yay!
This sounds dangerous.
I agree.
Okay, so we're doing one person today. And that is, I have never mentioned him in a game of Mary F.K. before, so I thought I would do it for this one. Are they good in bed? Actor and local celebrity Paul Rudd.
Yes.
Jen seems to have some inside information.
I knew Jen would say yes.
Well, it's not just yes, it's a resounding yes.
Wow. It's a resounding yes. Okay,
yes.
Cool.
Because I love Josh. Do you know what that reference is?
No.
It's from Clueless.
Oh, I love Clueless.
Yes.
I forgot
Josh.
he's in Clueless. Yeah, I forgot.
Come on, when you see that Shayna Punnam, when you see that face, I mean, come on. All that you can think of is, wow.
Yeah, yes and no, because in Clueless, if I remember correctly, I think they were like stepbrother and stepsister.
They
were
got
fucking,
it on,
right?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, that's okay, sister.
Okay,
I think it's legal in like 28 states.
So yes, Matty, is Paul Rudd good in bed?
I have no reason to believe he's not good in bed, so I'll say yes.
Okay. So I didn't have time to do a deep dive on him, but I did a little bit of research on him, and it seems that he's married.
Yes.
And his wife is named Judy.
That is?
No, that's Julie.
Julie.
Oh, Julie. I'm sorry. His wife is named Julie. And I looked her up for like 1 second. She's beautiful. And have they been married for a long time?
Yes.
Okay, so you would say maybe over 20 years?
Yes.
Okay, so they've been married for a while. So that tells me that he's probably decent, because if he wasn't that good in bed, then she would have dropped him already.
That's really interesting progression.
So I think like probably he's okay. But then there's, part of it where, again, I've been on the private jets with the actors. I dated an actor, the whole thing. And I have to say there is a level of narcissism that goes with acting in all actors, male or female. And I think that probably when he's really feeling himself, you know what I mean? Like he's come out with a movie and it's done really well, or he's also not only come out, or he's up for an award and maybe he won the award or he's really excited about the award, then I think he's probably not good in bed. Because then I think his probably like him feeling himself and his narcissism would probably take over. So then poor Julie now has to do a lot of the work. And I get it. Like she's thinking about the private jet and the yacht, and I would be thinking the same thing. But I think so if I were to give a ratio, I would say probably 60% of the time he's good in bed, 40% of the time he's probably not, just because he's an actor, no offense. So I think that I would say yes, because 60% is higher than 40. So I think Paul Rudd for 60% would be good in bed.
All right, then.
Okay. Do you like my logic?
It's indisputably some kind of logic. I don't know. It's something.
How do you like the new game?
It's fine. I think that I feel like the good thing about the old game is that you had 3 names to work with. So I think you need to work on this to have more people involved in the who's good in bed or whatever.
I agree. I just knew this was going to be longer because I was going to go off on tipping on tablets. Mm-hmm. But, I have to say, I was kidding a little bit. I do not want to let go of Mary F. Kill. So we are going to keep that, but we're going to intersperse this, are they good and bad? And I will give more options next time. And I will give some really fun local options as well.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
I'm going, those days you can maybe warn me, and I'll wear sunglasses so you can't see my expressions.
Okay, let's do one
it's
more.
It's all my eyes, right?
I want to see your face turn red.
Exactly.
You know what? Let's do one.
No, that's all right.
Oh, no, you can do one more.
No,
One
that's
more.
okay.
Let's do one more, Jen.
Host of the Rhinebeck Scoop, Jennifer C. Is she good in bed?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I love that, Jen. Yeah. Why do you think I'm good in bed?
You have a passion, my friend. You have a zest for life, shall we say.
Thank you,
I think
Jen.
it probably carries over in lots of places outside of baking and cooking.
Thank you, Jen. That was like the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
Aw.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Matty?
Matt?
This is usually so mean. No, I've absolutely no doubt that the answer is yes.
Ooh, why?
For many of the reasons that Jen just stated, I think that you are, yes.
I think you should come up with your own reason.
No, I don't think I'll come up with my own reasons.
Okay, I think Jennifer C is good in bed.
Second Jen.
You do?
I think, here's the thing. I think.
Don't you have to recuse yourself from
Do you
this
think
answer?
maybe we should do like a women on the street kind of thing?
Meaning?
Shouldn't we ask?
Like we should just take you with a microphone and say, hey, do you guys think that Jen's good in bed?
But I would be there?
Yeah.
You are that person who's
Oh,
asking.
so I'm asking. So the
Yes.
next farmer's market.
Yes.
There you are, yes. Next year.
Here's your muffins. Am I good in bed?
There you are.
So I think, okay, let me analyze myself. I think that there are times where I'm just really tired,
Who isn't?
where it's like 5 a.m. and Craig wants to have sex. So I'm like a starfish. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Sure.
you just go in there and you go at it
you
because
do what you
I
need
have
to
to,
do.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I need to go back to sleep. So there is that time. But I have to say, I do have a spinner body. So that definitely, you guys know what a spinner is, right?
No.
Matty.
No, I'm not sure.
Spinner is something like Jen and I. We're really tiny, so you can spin around the dick.
Oh,
Oh.
Yeah, it's a porn thing. Anyway, so yeah, Jen's just looking up like, oh my God. So I will say that I think I do have that going for me as well. So I think Jennifer C., host of the Rhinebeck Scoop, is good in bed.
Well done, Jen.
Okay.
Well, you
Like-
haven't lied before that I know of.
Huh?
You haven't lied before that we know of.
Exactly. So we can ask Craig next time he comes back. He can give us his honest opinion.
I think we have to ask him when you're out of the room privately.
Yeah. Jen, you were going to say something?
No, I'm just trying to visualize what it means to spin. I
Go
know,
around.
but like that's so cumbersome.
It is so cumbersome. It's very cumbersome.
Okay.
But you can try it and you can report back and you can
Okay.
tell me what you think
Okay.
because you have the body for it. Like
Okay.
someone who's 5'9" and it's not even about the weight, but 5'9" can't do it as easily as we can do it.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, moving on.
Is this the conversation you were envisioning as our NPR conversation?
Well, I tried. I tried for a second. I tried not swearing. I tried all of it. But anyway, so let's move on to the sweet of the moment. I am headed to a warm, sunny place where all I have to do is sit by a pool and get massages. So I'm very into that. To leave me feedback, call and leave a voicemail at 845-307-7446 or email me at comments@radiofreerhinecliff.org. Follow me on Instagram at Free Spirit Jennifer C. It's a new handle. And I will pose a listener question before each show to get your feedback. And you can always just comment. Here's the deal. I'm on vacay and then... And then we have a new regime coming into office on January 20th. I think it's in bad form to drop an episode around that time because I know people will not be in the mood for any of this very sophisticated talk. So thus, I return to a bi-weekly show schedule in February 2025. My next episode will drop February 11th. Now, Matty, Jen wasn't here last year. Hopefully she'll be here this year. We did an epic Valentine's Day episode. Everyone loved that episode.
Oh, okay.
You remember that episode?
Yeah, sure.
I made you write a dating profile.
Oh,
Oh, that
right.
was so good.
AI
Yeah.
profile, yes.
So I've got to like really step up my game for this episode.
Can I do
Yeah.
do a serenade, like an AI music serenade?
Are you going to sing to me?
The AI will.
He's going to create something.
Yeah, I'd love that.
I'll do that. Sure.
Is it going to be dirty?
If you want it to be.
Okay, that would be kind of cool.
She does want it to be.
Yeah,
I need the
absolutely.
answer to that
Yeah,
question.
absolutely. You know how I am. Come on. Until then, happy MLK Day, Lunar New Year, and let's hope, and I swear to God I said this last year, let's hope the groundhog doesn't see its shadow for an early spring. It's been effing cold. Love you, RBK.
Yeah.